Right, I guess we're on. So hi, and welcome to another INFJ-ISTP a chat type interaction thingy, whatever you call these things. Myers-Briggs interaction. Uh,
Yes.
I'm Solobach, and I'm an ISTP, and I'm here talking with Renna, who's an INFJ. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I had preferences for INFJ. I've known about Myers-Briggs for 4 years now, and I've been studying it heavily for about 2 years. So I'm very deeply into it. So there's my introduction.
All right. So you let's see. Well, I guess just to start us out, I just want to. I'm just kind of curious as to how you first got interested in Myers-Briggs and how you like basically your journey is to discovering your INFJ type.
Yeah, I think that's the first question asked on these interaction videos, which is really important. Um, it seems to me with everybody, the pattern that I notice is that either everybody runs into Myers-Briggs um, type indicator assessment through school, their professor or their teacher, one of them to take the test, or they stumble over it researching on the internet because there's something going on in their life and they're kind of doing some introspection and there's something going on. And they want to know why do I do this? What's going on with me? Is something wrong with me? Yes, maybe. That's what I did. And I first discovered Enneagram first, and I rented out a book, and you know, I tested a 9, wasn't accurate. I'm a 1. But then a little bit later on, I discovered Myers-Briggs, and I was like, whoa, this is creepy. And it explained so much. And at that time in my life, I was already heavily into psychology. And it's my passion. I mean, I just have books and books and books and books, and I have my favorite psychiatrist. And if it wasn't for having to obtain a master's in order to be a psychiatrist and having to do hours and hours and hours of internship and all of that, I would totally be a psychiatrist. But that's not my lot in life. That's not my focus right now. So, but yeah, that's how I stumbled upon it. What about you?
Okay, so I mean, did you? So you tested as INFJ, never been anything else, or never
No,
or had any doubts about it?
no, you know, everything seemed really consistent. I just kept gathering knowledge, kept gathering resources. I mean, you wouldn't believe the binders that I have of all of this stuff. And it was very typical in the very beginning. I was very interested about my type. But then, something very typical when INFJ, I started beginning wondering about everybody else. And I began studying about everybody else and how everybody just fits. I see the world as a big puzzle piece. And I saw everybody and everybody's type fitting into that puzzle piece. And I wanted to know, it just all was making sense, how I could deal with the world and how they could deal with me, basically. And so my obsession grew. Only once did I ever doubt the whole INFJ thing, and it was because I was very, very enthusiastic for being an INFJ. You know, I'm very expressive with my face, and one of the reasons why is because I'm fluent in American Sign Language. I have been for 9 years now.
Oh, really?
Yes. And when I was going to college for that for a year and a half, I had to take 2 classes on body language and expressions because that is 70% of the language.
Oh, okay.
So it's not just about the signs that you're throwing out there. It's all about your face. So that's why I'm really good about conveying my thoughts and feelings through my face. That's one of the reasons. So.
All right. Yeah, that's a lot of that is what I have heard from other like from other INFJs on YouTube. Just like they take the test and then they just get this like they're just like amazed at the result, like how well it describes them, and then yeah, it was not like that for me at all. um, uh, I never studied it in school. I never heard of it until well, okay, I'll just say I'm I guess what you might consider considerably older than you. So
Sure.
uh, let's just say I graduated college before pretty much everyone was on the internet. Um, so that might give you kind of a clue as to my age.
Well, you don't look it, so don't worry.
Well, well thanks. I guess. Um, but yeah, so I think I took my first Myers-Briggs test online somewhere like 1995 or 96 or something, like way back when.
Wow, that's crazy because
Yeah.
it just blows my mind that not that it was 95 when you took it, but that there was an online test at the time, at that time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, the web was brand new back then.
Right,
Um, but the Myers-Briggs test was old by then.
right,
So
right.
if, of all things to put online, that it kind of makes sense that would be one thing to kind of lure, if somebody wants to put something interesting on their new website, that would be one thing that would that might attract some interest.
I wonder what type that was that did that. But anyways, go on.
Yeah, and I honestly don't even know. I don't remember how I found it or what I was looking for at the time. Whether a friend emailed it to me or if I just stumbled upon it by accident. Because not too many people were on the internet at the time. I was like, I was getting on, at the same time that it was being introduced to the public.
Right.
So, but I took the Myers-Briggs test, which I'm sure was not anywhere close to the official one. Like most online tests.
Right.
I got ISTJ,
Okay.
and
Which is going to be, sorry to interrupt, but which is going to be completely not in your cognitive functions at all.
yeah,
I mean, your cognitive processes, you're not going to share them at all in ISTP and ISTJ. It's a completely separate.
yeah. You change the P to a J, and it changes all the functions.
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah, and of course I didn't know that at the time. I just took the test, got the result.
And yeah, and
Yeah,
probably the person who created it didn't know that either. I mean, they just used the basic functions to try to gauge you.
yeah, yeah. It's like so. I read read about what's introversion, what's sensing, what's thinking. I read those three, and oh yeah, that describes me. And then the judging versus perceiving, I didn't really understand at the time. When I first read about it, and so I just accepted the J as okay. I guess I must be a judger. Um, so I just and the overall description, I was like, well, I guess it kind of describes me. And I didn't really know myself that well back then.
Mm-hmm.
But I just kind of took their word for it. I don't think I even really read most of the other type descriptions. I just kind of I wasn't because I wasn't looking for anything in particular.
Right,
I just took the second
right,
test and I was like, okay, that's interesting, and then
right,
I just kind of
right,
forgot about it. And I think it was like 5 years later when I stumbled upon another Myers-Briggs test. So oh yeah, I think I kind of remember this. I remember I was like ISTJ last time. Took it again. I got INTJ, and I was like, okay, I guess I must have changed. And again, I didn't think anything of it. It was just wasn't looking for anything. I just found it. And I was like, okay, I got nothing better to do. I'll just take this little quiz. And so that was like around 2000, and then a few years later, that's when more and more people were on the internet and joining all these social networks like MySpace and then
right.
Facebook and then there's
Which is so funny because around that time it was like 15, 16.
Yeah. This is
to make you feel old.
Yeah, this is the make Celebot feel old session. um, So
Hey,
anyway,
you have a career. You've been to college. I haven't even done that. I mean, so who cares?
yeah,
I mean, I have been to college, but I didn't finish. So,
yeah.
anyways, go on.
um, so then I would take these various tests that get passed around on, from all these various, these, these internet memes or whatever. They and I would flip back and forth between like ISTJ, INTJ. I did get ISTP like once or twice, and the I and the T were always close to 100%, but the the S versus N and the J versus P were always like kind of on the border. Um, and I even noticed that a lot of the questions were just really vague, and I found myself going, so
Hmm.
it depends on the situation. I don't really know
Right.
what they're looking for. So, and then so I just by that I didn't really trust the results and what they were trying to get at, and I just didn't take it seriously.
Right.
Um, but then I would stumble upon these various other sites where like YouTube videos of like an INFJ or INTP talking about like how much it describes them and how they relate to other people, and like so it just kind of amazed me like how seriously a lot of people were taking it. And I think one thing that caught my attention was people were saying that, well, your type doesn't change, you're born with it, and if you get different results, that just it's either
Right.
an invalid test result or you don't get
Absolutely. Hmm.
um, and so that just kind of got me a little bit more curious as to like, okay, if what they say is true, then which one of these types is my actual type?
Right.
But the thing is, I didn't really have like any practical motivation for finding out my type. It was just like a curiosity thing, and
Hmm. Hmm.
um, so that's kind of
Which,
why I didn't really take the time to research it. I just kind of like, well, I'm kind of curious, but I've got better things to do than like spend all this time figuring out my my personality type. So I just kind of went on with my life, and every time I came across something MBTI related, I go, "Oh yeah, that thing. I wonder what my type actually is." And who
yeah.
cares?
Yeah.
And then I think what finally got me, I think I was finally at a stage like just earlier this year, it was actually 3 months ago. I stumbled upon it was actually Numoceptor's channel,
Yeah.
and I came across her video. It was titled "Ode to the ISTJ." And at the time, ISTJ was still my most common result.
Oh.
And she, in the video, she was describing her best friend, who was an ISTJ, and that her description of her friend, like, it did not match me at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So you're
I
like,
was
there's
like,
something wrong here.
yeah. And it was like, just like really organized and on schedule, and like, keeps everybody else on track. And I was like, okay, that is totally not me. I'm disorganized. My room's a mess. You
Yeah.
can't.
Look at your bed.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. But seriously.
Okay, those pajamas. Those pajamas were not on my bed half an hour. Well, I think I was wearing my pajamas half an hour ago, actually. But anyway, so yeah, that's me.
No,
I'm
no, I have no room to talk about being okay. Like J to P, like that has really not really much to do with organization, honestly,
yeah.
because I am so organized in my own disorganized way.
Hmm.
That is the best way to put it. My husband is actually much cleaner and organized than I am.
But
I don't know
he's
why.
ENTP, right?
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
I mean, at work I was super organized, but at home I'm not, and I don't care. Only when I'm like looking for something do I care. Because I'm like, ah! But I mean, for the most part, I usually remember immediately where I had seen it, even though it wasn't in a specific place, its spot. Because my extroverted sensing remembers where it was laying
Hmm.
or where I had seen it last. You know what I'm saying? Because I'll be like,
Yeah.
that's not its spot, but at least I know where it's at. And then I just keep
Uh,
going. So, anyways,
yeah, that's totally the same with me. I think it's yeah. You mentioned SC. We use the same functions,
right.
and So I think, I suspect being organized is more of an SJ thing, because they use their SI, and it's all like, doing things by sensory memory, and where
Yeah.
they, like, how they remember, like, things being a certain way.
Right.
And so I think, especially ISTJs or ESTJs, they're the ones who are known for being organized and on
Oh yeah.
schedule. They get places 15 minutes early.
Oh yeah.
I'm just totally the opposite of that. Uh,
And of the N types, ENTJs too, hands down. I think they've really got it together
yeah,
in that whole department.
the TE and the SI. Um, but yeah, of course, I didn't even know about the cognitive functions until like just 3 months ago.
I know, and I didn't even know that until after watching the video with Moon Receptor. I didn't know that, and I'm
Yeah,
like, man, you're a quick learner. I
yeah.
mean, you really picked that up fast. That was really impressive to me. But my roommate that I told you about, the unconfirmed confirmed ISTP, because this is what I do. I kind of have this whole, how do I word this and get it across clearly? I type people in my head, and I have a success fail rate, and my success rate is about 90 to 5%.
Wow.
Okay, so I known all along that my friend was an ISTP, but the only reason why, when she read her profile, um, when she took the test and everything, and she got ISTP, the only reason why she didn't necessarily agree was because it seemed like the profile was just dripping and heavy extrovert and sensing descriptions almost. And
I would.
I didn't like that because extrovert and sensing just has this stereotypical jock, getting out there, having to be adrenaline seekers, when ISTPs necessarily aren't like that, because my roommate wasn't like that at all.
I'm not like that at all.
She wouldn't leave her room for days. I'd be like knocking on the door, "Are you alive?" Because she would love to be in her room, reading her books, watching her movies, and then finally joining the world.
Yeah.
But anyways, my point with my roommate was that she's extremely intelligent. And I dated an ESTP once too. And he was extremely intelligent. And there's just something to, maybe I'm just very narcissistic with these combinations of cognitive processes of the TISE, FE, and I, and just the whole cognitive processes and switching them around, making the ISTP, ESTP, INFJ, ENFJ. But there's just something special about those types to me, that they're just so dynamic and very intelligent in a very different kind of way, I would say.
Are you talking about ISTP or INTPs?
No, ISTP and ESTPs and ENFJs and INFJs, because we all share the cognitive process, it's just in a different order.
Okay.
And my sister's ENFJ. She's a little bit younger than me, well, quite a few years younger than me. But I just can't wait until she's an adult, because she's very smart too. And anyways, my point is, those types are very diverse, but they're all extremely intelligent and gifted, and anyways, I don't know where I'm going. Pick it up. You go with this.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I find that is a common perception by other people. I mean, I think a lot of people think I'm smarter than I am.
In a different way. Just no. Here's the thing. Your name is Art, right? What's your name?
Hmm?
Okay, Cellabox. I want to call you your real name, but I'm gonna refrain, because you're gonna.
Oh, does my name show up as Art Vandalay on the Google
Yeah.
thing? Okay, that's not my name.
Okay,
no, that's not my name.
Okay.
Yeah, Art.
It's okay then. We'll pretend that's your real name.
Okay.
I called you Art a
Actually,
couple of times, and I'm like, why
yeah.
aren't you responding?
Any fans of Seinfeld will recognize the name Art Vandelay. It's a common
Oh,
uh,
duh.
it's a common fake name that's used on the show.
Duh. Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Of course you're a Seinfeld lover. Okay. Is my dog whining? I have my headphones on. Okay, anyways, there was when he whines when I go to the bathroom. Anyways, I had a point to make, and what was it, dang it? Oh well.
Talking about smart IST.
Oh, you're extremely smart types, just in your own different ways, because people define smart. You know, the usual smart definition is you have to be book smart, or you have to be, you know, just that typical smart what society puts out there. And
Oh, I see.
everybody and every type are gifted
Hmm.
in their own way. And I think that that's why I love knowing about cognitive processes, because you can flip cognitive processes just in a very, you know, just flip a certain order. And it's like it changes completely, and their gifts are completely different, but yet they're still extremely smart and gifted, just in a different way.
That's true. I mean, people have different ideas of what smart really looks like, and like if I were to just meet somebody off the street, they didn't know anything about me, and they were to to ask me stuff about like I don't know like uh, world
Like
politics, something
trivia.
that something that I that just doesn't really interest me all that much. I mean, stuff that
Right.
I may know a little bit about, but it's something that I just don't normally think about, and I'd be and just the fact that um, I don't verbally express like thoughts in my head, like I just if you ever watch like some of my videos, or you might notice that I tend to pause a lot. Even like I'm doing now, I pause a lot to think about what I'm saying. Well,
Mm-hmm.
if like an extrovert tries to engage me in conversation about their topic of interest, I
Mm-hmm.
might not come across as a very smart person to them, just because I don't normally think about that topic.
Mm-hmm.
I would have
Right.
to think, I don't, I'm not going to have like
Right.
an opinion ready to express.
Right.
Um, but if they were to sit me down um, at a computer and give me a problem to solve,
Right.
then I might be able to impress them with how quickly I'm able to come up with a solution.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right.
Um, or like you were saying earlier about you were surprised at how quickly I ramped
Exactly.
on the cognitive functions, and that was
Exactly.
I didn't I wasn't expecting it to be that. It just somehow at some point
Because
clicked in my
because it's
head.
a formula. It's a formula. And if you learn the rules
Mhm.
for the cognitive processes and for each time, it's almost a form of math and formulas. That's all it is. And
Yeah,
patterns.
yeah.
And
It's
for
like
you, of course you're going to pick it up like that. And of course you're going to absorb it very quickly and catch on, you know? And anyways,
yeah, that's what TI does. It just organizes, finds patterns and organizes them, and just analyzes, and used in conjunction with NI, then I'm able to just discern patterns, as soon as I see them, and
hmm
figure out how things work.
hmm And I think too with INFJs, a lot of people have misconceptions that, you know, there was one ESTP on the forums and they had said, I was quickly surprised to find that INFJs actually like reading and researching like medical journals and just, you know, in-depth research and resources and yada, 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 yada.
Mhm.
And, you know, I know of like Renna, she's a really good example. She's a scientist. Okay.
Yeah, mushy scientist,
And huh?
a mushy scientist.
Yeah, a mission scientist as Max Tugger. What's his name?
Oh, Megatux Racer.
Yeah, I always flip it. I know his real name. I just always forget his username. Anyways, um, and what was my thought?
About Numaceptor.
Oh,
assigned to?
TI. You know, I
Yeah.
think a lot of people, you know, forget how in touch INFJs can be with the tertiary function of TI because, you know, we can be inside our heads and it doesn't necessarily mean that we're using NI while we're inside our heads. And it's the same for you. You can be inside your head too, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're using TI in that moment. You could totally be using your tertiary function of NI,
Yeah.
you know?
I
And it's,
think
go ahead.
Yeah, I think that is actually one reason why I've been on the border between S and N on a lot of those tests because like
Yes,
I relate to a lot of the N questions.
yes. Exactly. That's why ISFPs and ISTPs to me are so enjoyable to be around. Of the S introverted S types because um, my dad is an ISFP and he's like a sci-fi geek, right? And I love sci-fi and I get it because for me as an INFJ, I love the abstract and the unknown and the possibilities and galaxies and beyond and life out there, right? Well,
Yeah,
for my dad, for him being an ISFP, he loves that too, and he totally has an I in his tertiary position as well, like you. And so ISFPs and ISTPs are so enjoyable for me to be around. I love it. They're very deep S types to me. Not that I necessarily need an deep S type to be around to enjoy myself. Not at all. My mom, she's an ESTJ. They love me. They've always called me their interesting child. You can only imagine the INFJ in this household. You know? Um, anyways, but so I was asking you earlier why another video with an INFJ.